Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I kind of wanted to talk about prolactin and what has been happening. So, I don't know if this will go along with any of the other videos I'll make, but it's something that's been going on in my life and something that I've learned a lot about recently. And something that I feel like there's just not a lot of information on. And so this is just my random video in my series of videos where I just want to talk about this and get all of this information out to hopefully help someone who is trying to find more information, who might have just received results that they have high prolactin. So for me, I went to the doctor because I was not having regular periods. I'm trying to get pregnant. We do have, for background information, I'm almost 30. I'm 29. I'll be 30 in a couple of months. We have a 5-year-old. So I had her right before I turned 25, at the end of being 24, and now she's 5. So yeah, I'm trying to get pregnant and have another baby, me and my husband. And when we had our daughter, just to for a backstory, because hopefully this will make more sense of why I waited for some of these things. So with our first, we got pregnant during COVID. And so we were at home, we were eating super healthy. We were going on walks because that was really all that you could do. So we were exercising, eating really healthy. I was doing the ketogenic diet. And I actually randomly got pregnant. We had been trying for 3 years previous to that. Our first 3 years of marriage, we never used protection. We never did anything to prevent a baby. And we just never got pregnant. So I assumed maybe there was something wrong with me or, whatever the case may be. We didn't really know, but we weren't also pushing too hard because we were still pretty young. We got married when we were 21. So to say oh my gosh, we're not getting pregnant at 22 is okay, that's still very young. So it's fine. You still feel like you have so much time, which you do, obviously. And so when we randomly got pregnant, we didn't really think much of it, except we were so excited and overjoyed. One of my dreams is to be a mother. And, so our daughter is just the greatest thing in the whole world. But that being said, we didn't really know if we were going to have problems the next time we tried to get pregnant or not. And so when we had our daughter, I remember that one of the things they ask you a million times when you're pregnant is okay, once the the baby comes, what kind of contraception do you want to use? And for us, we were well, we've never used any before, so I don't know, you tell me. But we were also oh my gosh, people tell you that once you get pregnant the first time, it'll be really easy to have another baby. And so we were kind of okay, well, we really should use something just to make sure that we don't have one right after, because we're not trying to be we're not trying to have 2 under 2 situation. That was never necessarily our goal. And so we were okay, well, what can we do? And they had all of the different options that they present you. And I went with an IUD, and I went with the one that doesn't have hormones. So I don't remember because it's been so long. I think I was just not really getting periods with that. But for me, my periods have always been really abnormal. So it wasn't something crazy oh my gosh, I'm not getting a period. This is, and I think that they tell you with your IUDs that you could or could not get periods. So for me, my periods were just abnormal with the IUD. I had the IUD in for a couple of years. I actually just took it out, almost 2 years ago. So right now we're January of 2026. I took my IUD out in March of 2024. Yeah, that was so long ago. It's almost been 2 years now. And we still have not had a baby, which is where all of this extra information comes in. So I at first was it's been a year, but also it took me a while to get pregnant with my first. So I was kind of not really interested in going to the doctor to see if any of my levels were off. But then I finally was okay, so at this point, time just keeps creeping by and I'm okay, my daughter is getting older. This age gap is getting wider. I really should just go and see if there's anything that is wrong with me. And, that's a scary thing to do. And I just have so much empathy for women who have taken a million pregnancy tests because you think that you're pregnant and then you're not, and you get all these negatives. And it's just a very, for me, it's a very triggering thing to do pregnancy tests and to investigate all of this, because for me it was a painful thing. It's painful to feel something's wrong with you, and that, for me, and I've explained this to my husband a lot, but as a woman, like sometimes you just feel like everything's on you. Like you feel like at your job, you have to be 100%. Like if you're a career woman, if you're at home, you have to be 100% as a mother. If you're a daughter, you have to be 100%. If you're a friend, you have to be 100%. If you're trying to get pregnant, like it seems like it's all on you. Like you should be timing it. You should be figuring that out. And it's not always on you. And that's not even necessarily the expectation of anyone besides you. But like as a woman, you think that like everything is on you. And so it's like, for me, it was really hard to be like, okay, let me go investigate what's wrong with me and see if it really is me. And then like, how am I going to feel if I find out it is me? Like, and so all of those things are just very hard. And I just empathize with women who go through this. So anyways, the first time that I went to the doctor was, I'm looking at my phone because I have all of the stats here, but I went in about July, like the beginning of July of this past year. So July 2025. I went to the doctor and was like, hey, like I'm trying to get pregnant. I'm not having normal periods. I don't really know what's wrong, but I would love to investigate this further, essentially. Actually, I remember that I went in for like a sinus infection, I think in like June. And I mentioned this to her. I was like, well, while I'm here, and she was like, hey, like schedule another appointment. I'd love to talk more about this with you. So I did. And when I went back, I was like, okay, so I'm trying to get pregnant. I haven't. It's been, at that point, it had been almost a year and a half. And so I was like, I just want to know, like, if there's something that I need to be doing, if there's a supplement that I need to be taking, like, what am I lacking that's making this happen, or what's going on, basically. So she ran tests on me. She did all of the blood tests. She did, like, pre-diabetes. She did thyroid. She did, like a full panel, like a huge, like it was like, I don't know, 15 tubes of blood. So she did all of the panel tests, and the ones that came back negative was all related to prolactin. So prolactin was really high. It wasn't actually necessarily really, really high. Now that I've been investigating this more, my prolactin the first time was 34.1 ml. And if you have gotten these results and you're trying to compare yours to mine, like this is just what the result says. I don't know. I think there's like, it could be, mine is like NG/ml is what it says. And it says 34. So if that's helpful, great. Some people, I've listened to videos and theirs is like really, really high, like 80 or something, or 100 and something. And so mine was like really not like anything to be super worried about. But for me, it felt like, oh my gosh, like I need to figure this out right now. Like I was scared. I was honestly scared. And at the same time, some other levels came back, which resulted in saying like, you have a fatty liver. So I was like, is all of this connected? Like what, like, how is this all, so there was two things that were wrong with my blood results. There was having a fatty liver, which is something that eating healthy and exercising can obviously help. And so that's one that is not really related to this. And then for me, the other thing that was hormonally wrong was that my prolactin was high. And so that was another thing of like, okay, that I need to figure out. Because that is related to pregnancy, right? Like a fatty kidney is not necessarily going to prevent you from getting pregnant. And so, but everything else was normal, which was the weird part. So like, I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have high thyroid. Like there's no issues on any of the other levels. So it's kind of like, okay, this prolactin one is just weird. Prolactin, the more that I've learned about it, and trust me when I say I'm not a doctor, so do not quote me on any of this, is prolactin essentially is a hormone that is usually, sorry, I'm moving things around because my leg is falling asleep because I'm crunched in a little space. But prolactin is a hormone that you essentially have when you're breastfeeding and when you're pregnant. So it helps with production of breast milk. And so having high prolactin when you're not pregnant is a little bit funky because your body thinks that you're producing milk and you're certainly not. And so for me, that was kind of like strange, but then also like it made sense, right? Like there's something off because I would always feel like I was pregnant. Like I always just like had this feeling that I was pregnant. And I think that was leading me to take so many pregnancy tests because like I would seriously like every month be like, I'm pregnant. And like I would have what I felt like were symptoms of being pregnant. Like I've been pregnant before. So like I remember these things. And so anyways, that basically was like your body thinks that it's pregnant and it's not. And that is why you're not getting pregnant because you're not ovulating, probably because your body, it's like when your prolactin is high, it's like a natural what is it? Like a natural birth control, because your body's like, you're producing milk right now for your baby, so we're not going to get you pregnant. So that's a problem. And so basically they were like, okay, well, let's retest in a month and see if we can get it to go down without doing anything besides like maybe eating healthier and exercising or something like that, which that was before I started exercising. So there wasn't really like anything that I was doing that was super different at that point. But they did have me retest in 1 month, which I went back exactly 1 day less than a month later. So in August, and it was at 35.9. So it actually went up by almost 2 entire points. So at that point, I'm like, okay, that's a little crazy. So then at that point, I'm like getting scared because I'm like, okay, it's going up and it's not going down. And so then they recommended that I talk to an endocrinologist, and the appointments for that are really far out, unfortunately. So I had to wait all the way until like November to finally get an appointment with her. And she ended up recommending that I do another blood test, since it had been quite a few months. And then she also recommended that I try to get on a medication, like a natural, not natural, but like a medication instead of doing the natural route, because she essentially said like there's a lot of things that you would need that you could do the natural route for, but there's also things where like medication is very useful, and in this case medication seems like it would be the best option for this specific item to get this hormone down. There is a YouTube channel that's called Healthy as a Mother, and it's these 2 women doctors. I don't know what their titles are, but seems like hormone pregnancy specialists. They had an episode on prolactin, and they talked about how prolactin is essentially the opposite of dopamine. And so like if your prolactin is high, your dopamine is probably really low, and vice versa. Like if you can get your dopamine back up to a higher level, then your prolactin level will go down. And that what this medicine is essentially is a dopamine enhancer. So it's like a dopamine pill. It's random, like it's used for people with like who have Parkinson's, but like it's very small dose what you're taking. So I don't really know like all of the things about this medication, but there was 2 that I could choose from. I chose the one that she mentioned that had less side effects, because I really didn't want to have side effects. I work full time. I'm like, I don't want to be going through the motions of that. Like I'd rather take one that has maybe a little bit less research, but has also less side effects. And so I went with Cabergoline, and I'm taking 5 milligram, is it milligrams? I don't know. 5. Yeah, I think it's milligrams. Just one of those pills every it's like 2 to 3 days. So I take mine on I take mine on Thursdays and on Sundays. So I take that 2 times a week. When I tested right before I started taking that, my prolactin was elevated even higher. It was at 37.2. And as a reminder, it started at 34. So went up 3 entire points before I started taking the medication. From there, I began taking the medication. And she also recommended that I do an MRI, because she's like, I want you to start taking this medication, but I also want to make sure that you don't have a tumor, like a benign or regular tumor in your pituitary gland, which is close to your brain. It's in your head. Because I had told her that I've been getting headaches too. And so she was like, okay, let me make sure that there's nothing going on with that, because when you have high prolactin, one of the very normal things that could happen is that you do have a tumor in your pituitary gland. So she wanted to check for that. And again, that's very normal. I know that sounds really, really scary, but there are so many women who have this. Usually it's a benign tumor. So as long as it doesn't grow, it will just sit in your pituitary gland. And then sometimes medication like Cabergoline, from my understanding, obviously ask your provider about this, but from my understanding is that in other videos that I've seen is that women who take this medication for an extended amount of time, actually the tumor will shrink. And so I don't know if that always happens. I don't know a ton of information about that, but that's another thing that she wanted to check for. So at that point I put in my request to do the MRI, and that was going to take a while. So I had been taking Cabergoline for a couple of weeks, and then I finally got my MRI appointment in. I went and did my MRI, and then essentially at that point, I was in a waiting game because the MRI results take about 18 weeks no, sorry, 18 days to come back is what he said was like the normal of receiving those results right now. Because they're just, I don't know, they're behind something. And then also I knew that I had to wait until it had been a month so that I could retest for my prolactin levels to see if they have went down using the medication after I had been on it for 4 weeks. So I was essentially in a waiting game of like, the timing lined up just perfect where I was waiting on the results of the MRI as well as the results of the Cabergoline to see if my prolactin had went down. And it was going to fall on like the same week, essentially, when I would receive both results. So I was a little bit, stressed, waiting to see like what was going to happen. And I did get the results back for the MRI first. So I read through those and everything was normal. I don't have the tumor, which again is super normal to have. So if you do have that, please don't feel fearful. Like not everyone has it, but some people do. A lot of people do. Truly. And so they told me I don't have that. And so at that point I was like, okay, perfect. That's a good sign. Like as far as, getting pregnant goes, that's great. And then the next thing that I got back was the results for the blood, and my prolactin had actually went down. So it went down all the way to a normal range. It's now at 13 and it started at 34, went up to 35.9, then went up to 37, and now it's at 13 after 4 weeks on that medication, Cabergoline. So I wanted to make this video because I know that it's so scary. Like I'm saying all of this really rapid fast, but going through the motions of like figuring out that something was wrong and then trying to find research about it. And like, I'm telling you, like I watched like every video I can find that's even remotely mentions prolactin. And so I just want to be someone who comes on here and says that I'm in the fight with you. I see you. And also like, I know how scary it is. And it's not always that something really negative is going to come from it. There's so much research. There's so many people who are speaking up about this and saying that essentially they got pregnant after like 1 month. Some people have gotten pregnant after 1 month, some people after 3 months, and then some people after a year. And most of them have gotten pregnant within a year. Like it's a very high percentage of them. And so I just want to say that you're not alone and I'm here with you. My next step now is honestly to try to time my, my good old times with my ovulation. Hopefully my ovulation will happen. I have not ovulated probably for a long time. And so I did get my first period this past week, and now I'm waiting for the days. It just got over, so I'm waiting for the days to pass so that I'm taking ovulation tests essentially like every single day to see when the dark line happens, which hopefully, God willing, there will be a dark line. I will ovulate and then we can get pregnant. And if it doesn't happen this month, hopefully it happens next. If it doesn't happen that month, like I don't know what's going to happen from here, but what I can say is that Cabergoline worked for me. And I'm so grateful for that because I like, honestly too, my dopamine is like on one. Like I feel so another thing about this too is that I did start working out in between all of this, like the past couple of weeks. And so actually like I've just started working out like last week, basically a week ago, I think we did our first class. So, I shouldn't say like I've been like doing this, but, I started working out. We've been eating super, super healthy. And then just with the Cabergoline, like I have been feeling like so like, I don't think that I knew that my dopamine was low until recently, because now that my dopamine is like over the moon and I'm like getting all the natural endorphins from working out and that dopamine, and then also just like, I think the medication helping that as well. Like I've just been feeling very different than I was previously. And I don't think I knew that something was wrong. I'm a naturally optimistic, happy person. So I think for me, like, if I was like a little bit less happy, it probably wasn't very noticeable to me. But now that I'm like my brain, I just feel so much more like with that hormone going down and my dopamine going up, like that switch for me, like I really feel a lot better. And so anyways, I am thinking about all of you who are going through this. I recommend that you watch the YouTube video by Healthy as a Mother. I recommend that you find other content and look at all of the positive reviews. And I know that there's people who have, bad, what is it? Like, I know that there are people who have bad symptoms from the medicine, like as far as like they feel dizzy or things like that, but I think it's worth it to try and see what it could do for you. Like I have never been someone who's been on medication, so for me that was a little bit scary, and I'm really grateful that I did that because I truly feel so much better, and I'm so optimistic that, God willing, we will get pregnant this year. So please let me know if you have any questions. Please feel free to reach out to me directly. I would love to talk more about this and just be your support at this time. So thank you. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.